Hello everyone, welcome to the video lecture on machine learning. In the last video we have discussed about the neural network. We have started with the neural network. We have seen the different examples of neural network. One of the example is artificial, that is the driverless car, which is called as ALV-INN. I have explained what is the work of ALV-INN in the previous videos, and also we have discussed about what are the problems where we can apply the neural networks or neural network learning, or the problem which can be addressed by our neural network. So all these things I have discussed in the previous video. Today in this video I will start explaining about what is perceptron and what are the jobs of perceptron. So as I already told that perceptron is a basic unit of artificial neural network. As a cell is a basic unit of any biological feature, like that a perceptron is a basic unit of a artificial neural network. A perceptron takes a vector of real valued inputs, so it will take the input, real values input, and it calculates a linear combination of that inputs and produces the output as 1. So always remember the output of the perceptron is 1. 1 means it is 100% or it is accurate result. Okay, if the result is greater than the threshold, otherwise the result is -1. Okay, so for all perceptron a threshold value will be set if our combination of inputs exceeds, or if the output exceeds 1, or that the threshold value, then the output of this perceptron is 1, otherwise it will give -1. So that means what, the output of perceptron is 1 or -1, right? So when it is 1, it is 1 when the output exceeds the threshold value. We will set some threshold value for all our calculation. So if our output exceeds that threshold value, suppose for example I have kept the threshold as 2 and I got the output as 2.5, so that means the output is exceeding threshold value, right? So in that case the result of this artificial neural network of perceptron is 1, otherwise it will give the result as -1. Okay, as you can see in this mathematical representation, so here x1 to xn are nothing but the output, input that we are supplying, and we are multiplying each of this input with some weights. Okay, these are w0, w1, w2, all these are real values or constant value, which is called as weights. Okay, weights are always real values or constant value, and this w0 here it is called as threshold. So if I calculate all this value, if it is greater than 0, then the result of perceptron is 1, otherwise if it is not exceeding that threshold value, then the result is -1. Okay, so here as I say, wi is nothing but a real value constant, or it is called as weight, that determines the combination of input xi to the perceptron output. Okay, so weights are assigned randomly first, okay, and then check with the output. Okay, if the output is not reachable, or if I am not getting the correct output, then I can change the weight values. Okay, I can increase or decrease depending on the output value, right? So here the quantity w0 is called as is a threshold that the weighted combination of input w1 x1 plus w2 x2 so on up to w1 x1 must surpass or must exceeds in order to get the output as 1. Okay, so if you want to get the perceptron output as 1, then you should exceed or you should surpass the threshold value. That means if I take the values of this weights, random values, and input value will be there with us. If I calculate this w1 x1 plus w2 x2 plus w3 x3 so on up to w1 x1, it should exceed the threshold value, then the perceptron result is 1, otherwise the perceptron result is 0. Okay. To simplify the notation, we imagine an additional constant input, that is x0 equal to 1. Okay, so allowing us to write above inequality as, so we can write this equation. If I take x0 equal to 1, then I can write this equation as summation of I starts from 0 to n. So the reason I have taken x0 here is I have to start the summation from I equal to 0 to n. So, w I x I greater than 0, okay. Because we have w naught here, we cannot have x naught. So, since for that purpose I have taken here x naught and its value is 1. 1 into w naught, again it becomes w naught only, okay. There is no change, okay. Hence, in the summation we can write it like this, okay, or in the vector form. This is in the arithmetical equation form, summation form. If you want to write it in a vector form, it is like this: w vector, okay, you know this arrow represents a vector, w vector into x vector is greater than 0, okay. For brevity, we will sometimes write the perceptron function as, okay. So, we can write like this, or we can write it in a vector form, or in some time we can write it in a perceptron as a function, okay, sine function. As you can see, we can write it as sine function. You know, the different types of functions are there: linear function, sine function, exponential functions, okay. So, output of this x, that is perceptron, equal to sine magnitude, sine values, okay. So, you know sine magnitude or sine values. So, sine values of wi into x bar. Sine of y, where this sine of y is nothing but it is equal to plus 1 if y greater than 0, minus 1 otherwise, okay. So, that means if the value is positive, if y value is positive, then it is 1. So, greater than 0 means what? Positive. Then we will get the result of this sine of y as 1, otherwise we will get it as minus 1, okay. Sine function, you know sine function, positive value of sine function, okay. Right. So, this is the exact representation of perceptron. I request all of you to draw this, because this perceptron basics are very important for your exam point of view. In most of the examination, what is perceptron, what is the basis of perceptron, this kind of questions are asked. So, this diagram along with the explanation is very important. So, learning a perceptron involves choosing a value of weight. So, as I told, we have to choose the value of weight, okay. Randomly you can choose from w naught till wn. So, consider there are 6 inputs, means 6 weights will be there: w naught, w1, w2, w3, w4, w5 and w6, like this, okay, where w naught is your threshold, okay, and w1 for 6 inputs you can assign it as for x1 w1, for x2 w2. You can see it in figure, okay. So, w naught, it is a threshold weight, and x naught, as I said, I will take it as constant, that is equal to 1. For how many inputs are there? It is represented as x1, x2, x3, so on up to xn, and that many weight you have to take, okay. So, that is w1, w2, and for xn it is wn. So, it is equal to summation. So, what is this summation? You know already, summation function, okay, summation function, that is where I equal to 0 to n w at x I, which I have already written in a previous slide here, okay, this one, okay. So, what we are doing here, let us check this. What we are doing, we are taking all the inputs along with some random weights for all the inputs, okay. This x1, its random weight is w1, for x2 the random weight is w2, like this. For xn the random weight is wn. What we are doing here, we are summing up, okay. Then we will get a summation function, and then that summation function we are sending it to this function. This is called as a threshold function, okay. This is a threshold function. What's the job of threshold function? What it will do is, it will take this value and it will calculate. If it exceeds the threshold, okay, some threshold value will be set by this function. If it exceeds that threshold, then the result is 1, otherwise the result is minus 1. This is our threshold function. I will tell about this function later, okay, what this function will do and everything, okay. So, just consider this as a threshold function, right, okay. Now, this is the next topic, that is representation power of perceptron. We can view the perceptron as a hyperplane decision surface in the nth dimension space instances, okay. So, we can, if you want to represent a perceptron, it is a plane. Plane is nothing but x and y axis, hyperplane we can say, where a decision can be made, okay. I will tell you how the decision can be made by using a perceptron. Just simply think that if you want to view any perceptron, we can represent it in a hyperplane decision surface, okay. Hyperplane is nothing but x axis, y axis, that plane, planar graph kind of thing, that is called as a hyperplane decision surface. Why it is called as decision surface, I will tell you later along with the example, okay. a perceptron output is 1 when the output is 1 when it exceeds the threshold. So, how can we represent it is exceeding threshold in the hyperplane? Okay, look at this. Here the output is 1, perceptron output is 1. We know that when it is 1, it exceeds the threshold. Okay, how to represent it in a hyperplane? We can represent it as lying on one side of the hyperplane. Okay, consider this is the x, as you can see here. Yeah, this is our perceptron. Okay, that is a separable line. One side we are taking it as positive, another side we are taking it as negative. That means this is separating the positive and negative value, yes or no? This line is separating. Okay, hence it is called as hyperplane decision surface. By using this, we can decide whether our result is positive result or negative result. Hence it is called as decision surface. Okay, so we can represent the output as 1 for instances lying one side of the hyperplane and output -1 for lying on other side of the hyperplane as represented in the figure. As you can see here, for one side we are taking it as -1 and for other side of the hyperplane, this is hyperplane, and for other side of a hyperplane this is represented as +1. Okay. Yeah, what is this line called as? This line called as linearly separable line. Okay, this is linear line and it is separating my positive and negative values. Okay, positive and negative output. Hence this line is called as linearly separable line. Okay. Okay. So so of course some set of positive and negative example cannot be separated by the hyperplane. Okay. Sometimes it may also happens that if the consider here the positive value is there here. So then I cannot draw this line like this, because if I draw this line like this, here it also contains positive as well as one negative will also come inside. Okay. So sometimes it is not possible, most of the times it is possible. Okay, but some 10% of time it is not possible to write the linearly separable line. Okay. Those that can be separated by linear separable set of examples. A single perceptron can be used to represent many Boolean functions. This is one of the important power of our perceptron. That means we can represent all your Boolean functions like AND, OR, NOT, NAND, NOR, all these kinds of Boolean function we can represent it by using the single perceptron. Okay, how we can check here? If we assume the Boolean value as 1, that is true, and -1 as false, then one way to use 2 input perceptron to implement AND function. Okay, so you know AND gate, it will take 2 inputs. So that 2 inputs with the set of weight equal to -8. If you set the threshold as minus weight, W0 as a minus weight and W1, W2 as 0.5, then the perceptron acts as a AND gate, AND function. Okay. So for AND function, W0 you have to set it as -8, W1, W2 you have to set it as 0.5. Okay. And what about OR function? For OR function, just don't change this W1, W2, only changes in W0, make it as a 0.3, -0.3. So then it acts as a OR function. Okay. So similarly, we can also do or represent the perceptron for all these functions, like if AND OR is there, then definitely NAND NOR also we can represent. But only thing is we cannot represent a single perceptron for XOR. Okay. The reason is, if I do the XOR, you know the XOR operation where if x1 is 1, x2 is 0, then the result is 1. That means x1 should not be equal to x2. If two inputs are there, x1 and x2, when x1 is not equal to x2, then the XOR function is 1 or XOR output is 1, otherwise the output is 0. So I cannot represent this by linearly separable training line. Okay, it is not possible for me to represent XOR by linearly separable line. Then what we can do is, we can convert the linearly separable training example by non-linearly separable. Okay, non-linearly separable means it may be the combination of positive and negative on both sides. Okay, like this. Okay, here I have not written any separable line here. If I write separable line, there is no separation happens. Okay, you can check in all the cases. If you draw like this line any way, so you cannot separate positive and negative example. This is called as non-separable training example. Okay, so where both side we can get positive and negative like this. This is called as, and this is the representation of XOR. Okay, because x1 should not be equal to x2, then only the result is 1. Okay, x1 here you can see x1 is minus, x2 is plus. Okay, here also x2 is plus, x1 is minus, like this, then only we will get the result of XOR operation. So, for XOR only non-linear, non-separable training examples should be taken. For other functions like AND or NAND, NOR, linearly separable training example is taken. Okay, this is linearly separable, first one. This is non-linearly separable. Okay, so that means what here, the ability of perceptron is we can represent every kind of Boolean function, okay, by using a perceptron of 2 input. One way is to represent a Boolean function is disjunctive normal form, or we can call it as disjunction. You know conjunction, disjunction in a DMS. Disjunction means OR function, conjunction means AND function. So, like the combination of AND and OR, we can generate other circuits like NAND, NOR, XNOR, XOR, okay, any kind of Boolean functions you can generate. So, this is one of the power of the perceptron. So, next we will see the perceptron training rule. Okay, how to train our perceptron, how to change its weight values. Okay, so main thing here is we will get the input. Okay, so as a user we can provide the input. How to choose the weight, how to choose the proper weight so that we can get the effective output or correct result. That's one of the challenge here. So that is called as perceptron training rule. How to train our perceptron to take the correct values of weight. Okay, look at this. Although we are interested in learning networks of many interconnected units, let us begin our understand how to learn the weights. Okay, how to learn the weights for a single perceptron. That means how to assign the weight for a single perceptron. The precise learning problem is to determine weight vector that causes the perceptron to produce plus or minus 1 output for each of the given example. Okay, so a precise learning problem is nothing but when we assign a weight to the perceptron, it should produce either plus 1 result or minus 1 result, or either produce it accept our result, or it should result reject your result. Okay, that's a actual correct value of weight. It's okay. So how to assign that value, how to solve that problem? So here we consider two types of learning problem. One is perceptron rule, another one is delta rule. Okay, these two rules are used to assign a correct values of weight. Okay, first we have to assign some random values of weight. After that, by applying either perceptron rule or delta rule, we have to change the weight so that we can get the output as either plus 1 or minus 1. These two algorithms, the perceptron rule algorithm and delta rule algorithm, these two algorithm guarantees to converge somewhat different acceptable hypothesis under somewhat different condition. So they are important to ANN because they provide a basis for learning networks of many units. Okay, these rules are very important for artificial neural network because it provides the basis for learning networks of many units. One way to learn the acceptable weight vector is to begin with random weights. Okay, so first only we cannot calculate. Okay, first you have to assign some random weights to all the inputs. Okay, consider if you have 4 inputs for a perceptron, for that 4 inputs you have to assign 4 weights randomly. Okay, randomly any real values. Okay, any real values you need to assign, and then iteratively apply the perceptron to each training example. So then you can apply the training rule. Which training rule we are applying now? Perceptron rule, first one. Okay, so modifying the perceptron weight whenever it misclassifies the example. Okay, so first assign some random value and check the output. If it is classifying correctly, then that means your assigned weight is correct. If it is not classifying correctly, means you need to modify. Okay, you need to change the weight. Okay, by applying any of the rules, either you can apply perceptron rule or delta rule to change the weight. The process is repeated, iterating through training examples as many times as needed until the perceptron classifies the training example correctly. Okay, So you have to change the weight again and again, check the output. If it is classifying correctly, then your assigned weights are correct. Otherwise, again you need to change the weight, again check the output. Like this, the iteration happens. Once you will get the correct classification, that means it is classifying the data correctly, positive as positive, negative as negative. If it is classifying it very correctly, then you need to stop and take that weights that you have assigned now. Okay, that weights are your actual weights. Okay, using that weight only you can calculate your examples, or you can calculate your solutions. Weights are modified at each step according to perceptron training rule, as I said, which revises the weight associated with the input xi according to the rule. Okay, let us check what is that rule, how to check that. Weight, this is, look at this, weight wi tends to wi plus delta wi. Delta wi is nothing but change in weight. Okay, so delta wi is nothing but change in weight. This wi is nothing but your assigned value. Then you have to change something in a weight so that you can come up with a new weight. This is new weight, this is the older one which you have assigned. Change something, change or add something in the weight. You can add or you can subtract depending on your output generation. Okay, so then it will come up with the new weight. Again check, give this weight to input, check your output. Again it is not correct, again come here, again some extra weight will be added or deleted, again check. Okay, like this it goes on. So this delta wi is given by the formula delta wi equal to eta. This is eta. Okay, Greek word eta t minus o xi. Xi is nothing but your input. Okay, input value. What is t here? T is nothing but target output. O is nothing but the current training example, output of a current training example. Okay, so target, consider my target is 100. Okay, and what I got now is 90. That means there is a 10% of difference, right? Okay, this 10% of difference happens because of wrong assigning of weight. Okay, I have assigned, so randomly I have assigned the weight, right? So that assigned weight is wrong. So what I need to do? I need to update my weight. Either I can add some weight, or either I can delete some weight, or I can subtract some weight from this. How to do that? By using these two, okay, formulas. This is the formula for perceptron training rule. Okay, so then check the weight. Okay, take this weight and check. Now I got 95. Okay, but my target is again 100 minus 5, 95 is nothing but 5. Again, that means 5% mistake is there. 5% I have I have made some mistake somewhere. Okay, again change the weight and check. So if you do like this, if you iterate like this, somewhere around the corner I will get the result as 100%. If I get the result as 100%, look at this, my target is also 100, I got the result also as 100. So 100 minus 100 is 0, this function becomes 0, that is change in weight becomes 0. That means you should not change now. Okay, change in weight 0 means you should not change the weight now, because you have expected, you have achieved your target. Okay, so now this is the actually process of, I am explaining you the actual process of perceptron, how the training this perceptron training rule or weight update rule takes place. Okay, now this eta, what I have told, it is called as learning rate. Okay, this is called as, it is a positive constant, it is called as learning rate, and usually it is assigned with the small values like 0.1, 0.01. Usually we have to set it to small values, so that we cannot change the maximum weight. We have to change some, okay, weight in a minimum values. For example, if my assigned weight is 9, okay, in first step, I should not change it as 9 plus 100. Okay, not like this. I have to change it step by step. That means I have to change it by smaller value. Hence eta, that is learning rate, we have to take it at a 0.1, 0.2 like this. You have to tune it with the small values. Okay, I think this training rule is clear to all of you, right? So suppose the perceptron output is -1 when the target output is +1. Okay, our target output is +1, but it is giving you -1. So in that case you need to alter the weight. Okay, either you need to increase the weight or decrease the weight depending on your output, right? So here one example is given for you. Okay, xi, that is nothing but input 0.8, eta, that is learning rate 0.1. Our target is 1, but we have achieved it as -1. Okay, so now again target is +1, but we have achieved -1, means there is somewhat error is there. Then what I will do, I will apply the weight update rule. So, okay, so wi eta of t minus o into xi. So eta value is given, apply it. So you will get 0.16. Add this 0.16 with the current weight. Okay, then check output. Okay, again you will get some output. Again do this till you get the target result. Till you get the target result, that is 1. Okay, so this is about the first rule, that is perceptron rule. So second rule is delta rule. Okay, delta rule, along with it is called as gradient descent. Okay, delta rule cannot exist separately. Delta rule exists with the concept called as gradient descent. Okay, so before you understand the delta rule, first we need to understand what is gradient descent. Okay, right. So although the perceptron rules finds a successful weight, after we know that already the perceptron training rule, and we got the success because iteratively we can calculate the weights, and that weight is assigned to the random weights, and we can get the result. Okay, but the problem here is we need to iterate many times. Okay, iteration happens many times. So suppose for example, if I have assigned the random weights, which is, and our target is too much larger, then definitely some or another way we have to iterate more number of times, and it can fail to converge. Okay, it can sometimes it can fail to converge the result, because sometimes we may get the linearly separable values, or sometimes we may not get the linearly separable output. Okay, that is one of the problem with the perceptron rule. Okay, as you can see here, it fails to converge if the examples are linearly separable, not linearly separable. Okay, so previously I said not linearly separable, XOR gate. Okay, so for that kind of problems, this perceptron rules fails. Then what to do? We can apply the second rule, that is delta rule. So the delta rule overcomes that difficulty. Okay, for any non-separable, non-linearly separable values, we can apply the delta rule. Okay, we cannot apply the perceptron rules because it fails. If the training examples are not linearly separable, delta rule converges, or it is best for that. The key idea behind this delta rule is use of gradient descent. As I already told, delta rule means first we should know gradient descent, because gradient descent is a key rule of this delta rule. Okay, so gradient descent to search a hypothesis space, possible weight vector to find the weight that best fits the training example. Okay, using gradient descent we can calculate the best weights. Okay, now this rule is important because gradient descent provides the basis of the algorithm that is called as back propagation algorithm, which is a kind of a backbone for artificial neural network. This algorithm is like a backbone for, or very important for, artificial neural network. It is also important because gradient descent can serve as a basis of learning algorithms that must search through hypothesis space containing many different types of continuously parameterized hypotheses. Okay, so I will explain this rule in the next video. Okay, because it is having some mathematical formulas and everything, so hence I will explain it in a next class. Okay, so please go through the video correctly and understand the concept of perceptron, as well as what is the power of perceptron and perceptron training rule. Okay, thank you.